I remember being one of the first people to walk through the door at Avalon. And this was like new beginnings. I felt so privileged to be there at that time. It was very exciting. There was something very pioneer, frontierland about it. And close to home was the first soap opera for New Zealand. And John Bache played my husband. I can't even remember what my name was. But it was very exciting to work in television at that time. It really was. New Zealanders had always got used to having their television stars being overseas. And suddenly what Close to Home did, especially in Wellington, was that you would see these people walking in the street. And that for audiences was huge. I had a husband who was at Lincoln College at the time. So as soon as I finished work, I would get on a plane and fly back to Christchurch. But even in Christchurch, people would do double takes looking at you and go, but probably they wouldn't come up to you because they weren't used to the fact that they might see you in the street. Here we were in Queenstown filming a miniseries, and I played Molly Grogan, the Irish lady with the heart of gold. And we had such fun. It was amazing. Such fun. And again, it was that whole pioneering spirit. The extras were played with by farmers around there who were so poor at the time. Oh, different Queenstown now, of course. We were also by the Shotover River. We'd built a whole village down there, a sort of gold rush village. And the interesting thing was that the Shotover jet discovered that we were there, and they decided that we were obviously a tourist attraction. And they used to keep coming down there. And of course it upset sound. The sound guy got hacked off with this, so we laid a trap for the Shotover jet. We waited till they came the next afternoon to visit us, obviously jam-packed with tourists, and the whole crew down-trowed in front of them. And he didn't come back again, so we were able to film in peace. When you're a farmer's wife, Andrew, bagging up pumpkins, it's wonderful to get into your car every day and go to work and be made up and have your hair done and be put into designer clothes, be bitchy all day, be paid for it, and go home in the evening. I tell you, it's a doggy day. I loved every minute of it. People who are bad don't think of themselves as bad. So Maxine Redfern ran a very successful magazine, and she thought she was sweetness and light. She had a few problems with her children, blah-de-blah, but if anything went wrong in her life, it was always someone else's problem, not hers, or usually their fault. The wonderful thing about playing a soap opera character like that is that whenever you're down, a scriptwriter is going to come along and write you up again. So you're never down for long because somebody gets you out of this mess and you sally forth to create yet more mayhem weeks down the track. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. We were all hooked on the scripts. We would read our scripts like they were weekly comics. We were so hooked on what was going to happen next. And as you say, the cast, we all got on so well. What Liz Mitchell pulled in from all the fashion houses, I was dressed by Trelise Cooper. Everybody was dressed by a different fashion house. And I could go through 7 sets of costumes a day. The marriage between what gloss was and what it represented to the fashion industry, it was a godsend to them because it was all about style and it was all about taste and it was all about the 80s and it was all about success and it was all about old money versus new money. A great recipe for a great show. Marlin Bay was great for me because it was a handover, because gloss was cut, as you know, as axed, and then Television New Zealand realised they'd made a mistake. They wanted to bring it back again. Then when they decided to bring it back, they realised they couldn't because it had passed. And then they very wisely got Janice Finn back again, and we started doing Marlin Bay, which was running a casino at a time when we did not have a casino in New Zealand. And so Katie Wolfe and I were trained to be croupiers by the head of the fraud squad in Auckland. I mean, it was fantastic. And all the extras got hooked on gambling because, of course, we had these days where we would just sit in a casino and play blackjack. And again, it was all about beautiful clothes. Liz Mitchell was there again doing these stunning costumes. The settings were wonderful. And of course, we filmed 100 yards away from where we're filming now, down on the river at Wartworth. Just amazing. It was a very happy 3 years for me. Billy will always be a New Zealand icon. When I got to play Billy's wife, he had just had a new heart. I think innately Billy knew he was on borrowed time. He was reflective, but he was still so funny. Mark Hadlow played my brother. Mark is Australian originally anyway. We both played Australians. I mean, I'd been in Australia for 5-6 years. And again, we were such a happy family. We all felt so privileged to work with Bill. And Bill's family became a very special part of my life. Lynn, of course, his wife, I see on a fairly regular basis. And so when we knew that Bill was going to die, it was a terrible time for all of us. And he was so gracious. And it was a time that I don't think anybody will forget who was around Bill in those last months of his life. The scene I remember the best in that movie was being chased through the house. I'm a little colonial housewife, by Zach Wallace, who was the Maori brave. He had the moku all over his face, and he had his axe in his hand, and he was pointing his tongue at me. It was so scary. It was so scary because Zach is a huge guy. And I remember thinking, my God, to have been attacked by one of these Maori warriors in those days must have been terrifying. And the scene, of course, in Utu is that she runs upstairs and she falls off the balcony. And needless to say, I didn't do that stunt. And I was pretty glad that I didn't. But just riveting stuff, riveting. The last thing that was said to me at drama school is, you've been trained to be a good jobbing actor. You may never be a great star, but you will always enjoy being a good actor and attacking new parts. I've gone right from live television, live to air, live to 40 million people, right through to television today. And I've been very lucky.